10 to 20 seconds.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah, and we are live now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Dynamics 365 Globalization session. My name is Sergey Shvedov, and I lead Dynamics 365 Globalization. Today, we will talk about globalization strategy, roadmap, recent releases, and we will show you also a couple of demos of our new services. Together with me today, co-presenting Claudio, who is our principal group manager responsible for LATAM localization. We also have Gilberto, who is a senior program manager for our global electronic invoicing functionality. So next slide, please. Our team provides globalization functionality for Dynamics 365 Finance, supply chain management, commerce, and project operations. Our globalization offering has three main components. First, our products has a wide out-of-the-box country coverage. We cover legal and other local requirements for 43 countries and regions, and these products are translated into 48 languages. We also maintain regulatory compliance for all supported countries and regions. We monitor legislation changes in all these countries, and we ship regulatory updates according to government or tax authority deadlines. We also have discovery and alert services at Microsoft Lifecycle Services or LCS, so our customers and partners can discover, plan, and release regulatory updates and also report regulatory alerts as well. Second component for our globalization functionality, it's obviously which extends our out-of-the-box functionalities, Isv Solutions, which Isv publish at the AppSource. So far, they extend our countries, which we provide out of the box. So far, we have more than 50 Isv localization solutions at AppSource, and the number of these solutions is growing. Third component is that majority of our globalization functionality is built on top of our low-code globalization services. These low-code globalization services allow functional consultants and business users rather than engineers or developers to create and extend globalization features with minimal efforts in the most common and frequently changed globalization areas. We use these services ourselves, and the same services are available and used by our partners and customers who have already created several thousand of low-code features, which is used in more than 100 countries by our customers. Next slide, please. We provide localization in several key globalization areas, such as tax, invoicing, regulatory reporting, banking, business documents, commerce, and a few more. We call all these areas together as a globalization blueprint. Globalization blueprint covers areas where we see globalization requirements across all countries, and also these are the areas where local tax authorities change the law more often. We built our globalization functionality using low-code globalization services, and we share the same tools with our customers and partners. So we have these low-code services for all key globalization areas. For example, in tax, in addition to Cortex Engine, which we have for sometimes for quite a while for finance and operations, we last month we released tax calculation service, which significantly extend the functionality of tax and provide possibility to support really complex tax scenarios. Earlier this year, we also shipped electronic invoicing service, which significantly extends capabilities of electronic invoicing in our finance and operations, and will support more end-to-end electronic invoicing scenarios for multiple countries as well. From the very beginning, when we ship our cloud finance and operations version, we have electronic reporting to configure regulatory reports as well as other reports and other electronic documents, for example, payment formats. We also have configurable business documents functionality for business users to design and customize business documents in Excel and Word templates rather than in SSRS. Next slide. From the strategy perspective, we are focusing on two main areas. First, we expanding our out-of-the-box localization into more countries. During last 4 months, we shipped localization for 6 new countries, and we plan to deliver another new localization for Indonesia in February next year, covering 44 countries in total. We also have plans to continue with our global expansion strategy going forward to more countries and more regions as well. Another important point to mention here that you know that we ship our localization for Brazil for Dynamics 365 a few years ago, but earlier this year we also shipped localization for Dynamics 365 Commerce for Brazil, and we will cover this localization in a little bit more detail later today. As I mentioned earlier, we also maintain regulatory compliance in all supported countries and enhance existing country localizations. Our out-of-box localization is complemented by Isv Localization Solution published at TopSource, and Isv adding these new solutions there all the time. Our second focus area is low-code globalization to simplify creation, maintenance, and extensibility of our globalization functionality and globalization content as well. We have electronic reporting, which I mentioned already, configurable business document, and also we have 2 new microservices which we shipped earlier this year, electronic invoicing and tax calculation. And we will cover these microservices in a little bit more detail later today. We plan to convert more functionality into microservices in the future. All these low-code tools and services are currently integrated with Dynamics 365 Finance, Supply Chain Management, Commerce, and Project Operations, but we plan to integrate and share this functionality and content with any first and third-party application in future as well. Next slide, please. So I gave you a high-level picture of our strategy, key focus areas, and roadmap. Now we want to go a little bit into more detail and where we are focusing, what we deliver or plan to deliver. And I would like to invite Claudio, who will talk more about our recent release of commerce localization for Brazil, and also talk about how we maintain our regulatory compliance. Claudio, do you?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Claudio Beltri. I work with Microsoft. I started in Microsoft back in 2009, so 12 years working for localizations, overseeing localization for Latin America. I'm based in São Paulo here in Brazil. But actually, most of my career has been dedicated to Latin America ERP localization. So as Sergey mentioned, I would like to start by sharing some details about the release that we've done early this year, Wave 1, 2001, around April, related to the commerce localization. There are several key capabilities that we have released, but I highlight 4 here that I thought it was most important. We introduced and we supported the issue of nota fiscal consumidor eletrônica, nota fiscal eletrônica from the retail side. We basically are calculating all the Brazilian taxes that are necessary to generate the fiscal documents and managing all the process of submission the electronic fiscal documents to CEFAS. We also are printing the DANFI for both NFC and NE. Some states in Brazil, like São Paulo, use some alternatives to NFC, nota fiscal consumidor eletrônica. It's called SAT, the device is called SAT, and the document is the Cupom Fiscal Eletrônico. We are also handling the generation of this document and the registration of this Cupom Fiscal in the SAT device. A third important feature that we release is the support for a specific customer registration number. It's called the CPF in Brazil, CPF, from the citizens. So we managed to enter, support, modify, and print the document when required by the consumer. Last but not less important is the release of the connection for Edición. We released the connection to support payment operations in Brazil. If you are interested in know more details about this release, you can click on one of the resources. You can select one of the resources below. The first one covers all the features that we've released. The last two are more specific about how do we support SAT and how we integrated our connector to Edición. The next thing that I'm going to cover is the maintaining regulatory compliance. I know that we support several countries around the globe, as I mentioned, and sometimes it's difficult to monitor and know what we are releasing. So we have released quite a long time ago, but I think it's important to highlight the regulatory requirement discovery service. It's a feature in LCS called Isv Search, where you can type a keyword, type a KB number, or select a country, and then you will be able to see everything that related to regulatory updates that we are releasing in the product. You can sort by relevance, sort by date, back and forth, the descending and ascending. And one thing is that's important is that if you see a red bar in the left side of the feature, means that we are planning to develop the feature. We have not released the feature. If you see a green bar on it, it's because we have already released that feature. Some features, it's important to highlight that some features will be presented in several, can be presented in several updates, because depending on the time that the government releases the requirement, we have time to anticipate and make it available to our customers in advance, way before then the market needed required date. So this is an important feature. And how does we manage that? We have a system in place called Alert. Sometimes I'm questioned by ISVs or customers. How do we monitor the market and the regulatory updates around the globe, around the countries that we support? And on the top of our resources, we have created a system called Alert system. It's an LCS application where vendors that we hire in specific countries or the community in other countries interested and experts in legislation have the right to access and log alerts. So basically, when alert pops up in the system, it triggers an internal process in Microsoft called a triage. And our experts, our team analyzes the alert, analyzes the requirement, the market required date for the requirement, and we take a decision. If we decided to develop it because it fits in our scope, it's a feature that is needed to our customers, then we update the issue search, and that will be shown as a planned feature for the future. I'm particularly interested in have more people from Latin America, especially Brazil and Mexico, joining the system. So if you're an expert, if you know people that are expert and interested in participate, it's a quite simple process. There is just send a request for us in this message, in this email that is showing in the screen, and there is some NDA that needs to be signed, but then you give access to this project called Regulatory Alerts Worldwide. If you would like to know details about the process, you can check in the resource, in this link in the resources, and we explain how it works. And again, I would like incentivize a lot of people to join, especially from Brazil and Mexico, because this is important for us. In my last slide, I would like just to give a brief overview of what we have been doing in Brazil and Mexico with regards to these releases, regulatory requirements. So people from Brazil, we know that the government every year do certain fine tuning and releases some updates, new requirements for the SPED legislation, and this year was not different. So there were requirements for SPED contribution, the version 1.24, SPED ECD, SPED ECF, 2 new layouts or changes in the existing layouts. SPED fiscal, the Rio Grande do Sul state requested a new record, and it's already available. So those are updates that we have released already. SPED HINF, there are 2 updates: the 1.5, the layout 1.5, and the more changes in the web service requests. So we already released. On the top, also, there are a few technical notes that were requested by the government that are available. If you're interested in all details, you go to ISV Search and you can search for all this information there. For the future in Brazil, we are working on a new layout for next year for SPED fiscal ICMS and IPI. And we plan to release in version 10.024. And there is a requirement for SPED HINF, the new series R4000, but it's announced that we know that we need to develop, but we still need more information, and we are waiting until the government release. Last thing about Brazil that I want to highlight, but it's very important. Everybody knows that Brazil is announcing the tax reform. It seems that things are moving in the Congress. And just want to let you know that we are closely monitoring what's happening. And it seems that this PEC 110 is going to be approved with the creation of these 2 new taxes that will merge certain existing taxes. Just want to let you know that we are monitoring it, and we will keep our customers informed about what we do. In Mexico, the Mexican government is being more kind to us, and there was not a lot of big changes this year. Basically, there is this complement of Carta de Porte. It's a CFDI complement, the packing slip side, which we already released. And they also released a modification to it, the version 2.0, that will be implemented in a transition period in December. Probably January will be fully live. We are doing our best to release this as soon as we can. We are trying to do that before November, so our customers can be ready to implement and go live with that. So that's what I have today. Back to you, Sergey.
Thank you very much, Claudio. So you heard about our plans and what releases, what we did for like content, functionality for Brazil and Mexico, 2 countries which we are supporting out of the box right now. What we want to do next, right? We want to talk a little bit more about new tools which we are building to better support localization, globalization functionality across the board, including obviously Latin American market as well, right? And we will start with electronic invoicing service, which is, we have electronic invoicing capabilities in FNO, but electronic invoicing service is a microservice, more scalable solution, which provides much more capabilities. And I invite Gilberto to talk more and go deeper into this functionality.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you, Sergey. So my name is Gilberto. I am senior program manager at Microsoft. I'm also based in São Paulo, Brazil. And like Claudio, I also have a long story of doing localizations for Brazil and for countries in Latin America. And today I'm gonna talk about the electronic invoicing service. Claudio, next slide, please. Claudio. Okay. So just making, nope. Next slide. Yeah, thank you. So just making giving the context for the electronic invoice. So when we talk about electronic invoice, most of the companies, especially those ones who have a global presence in multiple countries, this is a typical kind of dilemma they face when they need to comply with the electronic invoicing requirements, especially in Latin America. From one side, they need to deal or need to handle a variety of formats, architecture, technology, and level of maturity. So each country has autonomy to decide which solution of electronic invoice they want to do. It's a mandatory requirement, so not complying is not an option when you talk about, in the most of cases, when you talk about electronic invoice. And of course, especially when the electronic invoice is driven by regulatory requirements, you need to have agility to comply. So who are familiar to electronic invoice knows that the government publishes law updates in the law, and sometimes with very short time to respond. Okay, but in another hand, the companies also have another type of demand. So they need to operate globally in a global scale. At the same time, they want to optimize the investments across the countries, especially to comply with the electronic invoice. So they don't want to reinvest money and reinvent the wheel to comply with electronic invoice requirements. And of course, they want to simplify the management of system integration. So those two groups of requirements, they are kind of conflicting, right? So then our electronic invoice, Dynamics 365 electronic invoicing service comes to bring balance to this kind of demand and comply and attend both demands. Claudio, next. So, like Sergey said, the electronic invoice extends the electronic invoicing capability, which already exists in Dynamics 365 Finance, Supply Chain, and Project Operations. It was built over 3 pillars. The first pillar was the simplified extensibility. So we provide formats already configured, right? So in this case, we provide electronic invoice formats fully configured for Brazil and soon for Mexico. We also provide flexibility to make integrations with web services, especially in those cases where the invoice needs to be approved by the government. And also we offer a simplified configuration experience. So easy to configure, easy to extend, easy to package, to maintain, and even share, right? The second pillar is the consistency. So it's a common platform, right? Where in spite of the countries where you will find always the same experience. So that brings much facility for document processing and also for auditing. It's easy to ISV and partners to extend, right? And because it's a common platform from the user perspective, the experience is consistent, either for setup, execution, and for monitoring. Of course, in terms of consistency sharing, it's possible to share the features with third parties, and we have in our roadmap integration with Dataverse. And for last, the third pillar is the extended out-of-box functionality. We provide out-of-box configuration for several countries, and we have a roadmap that more and more countries we are including in our scope. For example, Egypt and Saudi Arabia, they are in our roadmap, and we are extending the capabilities to support electronic invoicing for those countries. Just a quick remind, if you want to see more details, we just did a Tech Talk session recently. So if you go to the community, you can see our presentation more in details. Claudio, next, please. So this is a very high-level view about how electronic invoice works and how you can put this electronic invoicing working. It's a very simplified process, basically 4 steps, right? And it counts on 2 basic personas, right? A first persona is an experienced user or admin or a consultant. This persona is going to make all the configurations that is required for the electronic invoice. Is going to browse the electronic invoicing features in the repository, make all the configurations, configure the key vault and storage account and digital certificate and so on, and deploy the configurations to the service. And the 4th step is simply use. So then, for example, for the clerk who is going to issue the electronic invoice on their daily activities, the electronic invoicing is completely transparent. Claudio, next. Okay, now I'm gonna make a quick demonstration about the electronic invoicing. Claudio, I'm gonna take over here. And I will share my, I'm gonna share my screen. No.
Yep.
No, wrong. Sorry, wrong. Should be this one. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So this is RCS, right? RCS is your interface for configuration of electronic invoicing features. Okay. So you simply go to Globalization Features, select Globalization Features. Here you have some tiles, select Electronic Invoicing. And then we will land on this page. So we simplify the configuration experience, creating this page where you can access and maintain all configurable components of your electronic invoicing. So what this page shows you, each one of those, they are electronic invoicing features that Microsoft published and you can use. Just a quick explanation, electronic invoicing features is the way as we encapsulate all formats and configurations for electronic invoicing for the certain countries. So as you can see here, we have electronic invoicing for several countries here. And here on the right side, you have some options to make your configuration of your features. For example, in case of versions, you control the life cycle of your feature, right? That means that that allows you to work in the feature in draft mode, and when it is done, you can complete and publish and make it visible for other people in your organization. In configurations, you can configure the files formats of your invoice, and on setups you configure all the behavior that you want to give to that electronic invoicing feature. So let's take a look on the Brazilian electronic invoicing feature. Okay, just a quick overview for those who are not familiar to the Brazilian electronic invoice, which here calls NFE. The Brazilian electronic invoice is a kind of invoice that needs to generate an XML file, needs to apply a digital signature, needs to send to a web service maintained by the government for getting approval, and this web services response either approved or rejected. So this electronic invoicing feature for Brazil makes everything as I explained. If you want to see, for example, the configuration of how the configuration of Brazilian electronic invoice looks like, you can go here in configurations, click on view, and here you will see the Format Designer. Format Designer is the same tool that, by the way, it's used in electronic reporting for making configuration of business document. In this case here, you can see the configuration of the Brazilian NFE, right? And here you can, for the feature which is published by Microsoft, the configuration is done and is ready to use. However, if you are, for example, for a certain industry and you need to add some specific field to the XML, you can use the Format Designer, and then you can customize the layout of the Brazilian invoice and add or modify the format to meet the requirements from your specific industry. Okay, so then let's take a view on the behavior, right? So here for the Brazilian NFE, right, we have 5 different feature setup. Each feature setup contains a sequence of we call pipeline actions, right? Hold on a second, it's open. So the pipeline actions it's just kind of a Lego, right? It's a sequence of actions, right? So those are predefined actions available for you. You can use, which determines how this electronic invoice must be processed. In the case of Brazil, we have a sequence of 8 different actions, right? And for Brazil, the sequence is already configured, right? The only thing that you need to do is configure the digital certificate, which is required to sign the XML, and review and update, if it's necessary, what is going to be the URL of the endpoint of the web services who is going to approve this XML. Once you do this, your feature is ready to go, and the only thing that you need is to deploy. By deploying means that you are sending this configuration encapsulated in this electronic invoicing feature to the environment of the electronic invoicing service. Okay, and then you are good to go. Now let's. Now I'm gonna show you how the experience, how it looks like the experience from the user, right? For the clerk, for the person who is on the daily basis issuing electronic invoice. For the sake of time, I have already here a Brazilian invoice already posted here, right? It's 136. So this is how a Brazilian invoice looks like. So notice that it has a status created, right? And if I am the clerk and I am interested to generate my Brazilian NFE for this Brazilian invoice, I simply go to here, Organization Administration. When your F&O is configured to use electronic invoicing service, there are a few new forms available for you. So then there is this one, submit electronic documents. And here I select which invoice I want to process. Notice that I can run in 2 modes, right? I can run explicitly or I can run in background, right? If I want, I can schedule background to run from time to time and keeps sending the invoices to electronic invoicing service. In this case, I will run explicitly. I will simply click here on filter, and then I will type what is the number of my invoice, 136, click OK. And then now I'm going to submit. By doing this, so F&O is sending the data of this fiscal document, is sending to the service. The service is receiving the data and is retrieving the electronic invoicing feature that I published in RCS, and then it's generating the XML file, is applying the digital signature, is communicating with the web services from the Brazilian tax authority, is getting the response, and we will update the status of my fiscal document. If I click here, I see that one document was submitted, which is good. And if I want to see the log, if I want to check the execution log, I have a specific form for here for this purpose here, electronic submission log. So then here I select fiscal document header, Then I select here. So I have my document. I click on view details. And then here I can see the breakdown of the execution log. Notice that are the same actions that I show you in the pipeline, in the action pipeline. So this form shows to me the results of each individual step, how it was executed. And the last one means that my electronic invoice was approved. If I want to see, okay, how does the file of the XML, which was effectively sent to the web server, looks like? So I can go here, click in view, and then I can see the XML that my, oops, no, not this one. This one, signed doc, sorry, this one. And then I can view the XML which the electronic invoicing service is created. So here you can see my XML containing all data from my Brazil invoice. At the bottom here, you can see all the digital signatures and everything, so on. And my last step, if I want to see if my fiscal document 136 now is approved. So I could make everything without making any code, just making configurations. I was able to configure, right, the electronic invoicing feature to issue a Brazilian NFE. So that's all that I have, Sergey.
Yeah, thank you very much, Gilberto. So let's move further. Let me take control. Let me take over. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. We covered one of our new tool, electronic invoicing service, what Gilberto present and show you in live. As we mentioned, electronic invoicing functionality exists already in FNO from the very beginning, right? But what we did with electronic invoicing service, we specifically for Brazil and Mexico soon, we made it fully configurable and easy extendable, right? And plus, obviously, we have a consistent electronic invoicing functionality across the globe. The second tool, which we just released last month, which I would like to introduce, is tax calculation service. And tax calculation service is something we also, Cortex functionality or Cortex Engine is something which we have in Dynamics 365 Finance Operations, obviously from the very beginning. What tax calculation service does, it enhances tax determination and calculation capabilities of our core tax engine with much more flexible and fully configurable engines. So it has four main capabilities. First, it enhances tax determination. So a user right now can configure in a low-code way, configure and determine tax codes, rate, and any deductibility components based on any field of a taxable documents, either it's order or invoices, such as like shipping to from location or item category and so on. We support complex matrices, which you can configure matrix. You can see an example of such matrix on the screenshot on this slide. And a user can build like cascaded matrices where results from one matrix can be used for another one, or can define even several components in parallel. The second capability is enhanced tax calculation. So tax calculation service allows user to configure and execute really complex tax calculation formulas and conditions, which might require by tax regulations in different countries, such as tax calculation by margin, tax on tax calculation with multiple tax code, and so on. And the third capability, what it supports, it's multiple tax registration numbers, which it supports multiple tax registration numbers under single party. It can be legal entity, customer, vendor. It allows to support complex scenarios, tax scenarios, which required before really complex customization in our legacy core tax engine, such as like transfer pricing, consignment warehousing, low risk distributor model, and a few more. So, and also configurable, we can configure this, determine which tax registration number should be used for a certain legal entity and its counterpart in sales, purchase, and transfer orders. And also connected to this, we also change our regulatory reporting, like VAT declaration, to execute on multiple specific multiple tax registration or specific tax registration number in one single legal entity. And the fourth capability, right now we can support tax on transfer orders. As I mentioned, we made this tax calculation service available in October 2021, basically last month. Currently, it's integrated with Dynamics 365 Finance and Supply Chain Management. We plan to integrate it with project operations and commerce, and also we are building API for this tax calculation service, where any first-party or third-party application can call tax calculation service and get tax calculated. So this tax calculation service supports or will support late in wave one. For example, like Mexico is not currently supported, but it's coming. Sorry, Mexico, it's on the electronic invoicing side, but we have a couple of more countries which are not supported. It's coming and late in wave one, out of the box localization. So all localization supported on will be supported in the next couple of months out of the box for countries except of Brazil, China, India, and Russia. These countries a little bit further on our roadmap, but we will be supporting them as well. We have a link here for Tech Talk, where you can, if you want to learn more in details about tax calculation service, you can go into this Tech Talk and have a good content from directly from our team. So what I want to do right now, we have a pre-recorded demo from our tax PM lead, Eric Wang. And I want to just run this demo and to make sure that you can see a little bit how tax calculation features can be configured and executed. Yeah, so let's listen to this demo.
Hello everyone, welcome to this demo. In this demo, I will introduce the enhanced tax determination and the calculation capabilities in tax calculation service.
Sorry, let me start. I think it was
Hello everyone, welcome to this demo. In this demo, I will introduce the enhanced tax determination and the calculation capabilities in tax calculation service. So first, the user will create a text feature in regulatory confusion service. Then in the text feature, we introduce a new determination mechanism we call the matrix to enhance the determination capability. In FO, as you know, the sales tax group and item sales tax group are defaulted from mass data like customer, vendor, and item. But now in tax calculation service, they can use the matrix to determine it. So in this matrix, we can see ship to, ship from address. They are the input of this matrix. And this tax group is the output of this matrix. And the user can add almost all the available fields on the transaction, like customer account, invoice address, delivery time, item code, all these fields into this matrix as the input. And we support two kinds of advanced metrics. One is parallel matrix and the other is cascade matrix. For parallel matrix, we can use the sales order to determine two outputs at the same time. One from this tax group applicable matrix to determine tax group, and this item tax group applicable matrix to determine item tax group. And for the cascade matrix, it can use the output of one matrix. For example, item text group is the output of this matrix as the input of another matrix, item text group. The input of this matrix is item text group, and output are text codes. So with these two mechanisms, we can build a very powerful text determination rules here. And then we also provide some optional metrics like list code matrix, customer and vendor VAT ID matrix. User can use these metrics to determine some value in more automated way. And besides text determination, we also enhance the text calculation capabilities in text calculation service. So for example, in some business used goods, user want to calculate VAT by sales margin, not by sales amount. This is not supported in the current FO text engine, but this is very easy in text calculation service. User just need to write a formula. My text base amount is my sales amount minus my cost amount. That's all. Then they can calculate text based on this new base amount. Okay, then let's switch to FO to see how we will trigger it. So the user experience in FO is the same as previous. All the setups are transparent to the end user. They just as usual create a sales order, and when they click the sales text button, it will call text calculation service. And we can see this is the result returned from text calculation service. Okay. That's all for this demo. Thank you.
Okay, that's all what we want to share today with you on our globalization. So we still have a few minutes for the questions. I don't see specific questions in our Q&A. I don't know if you have any questions. You have a special question icon. Click on this question icon, and you can type your question into the icon, and we will be happy to answer these questions. I don't think you can ask questions live. This is my understanding. Let me. Yeah, I think the question is that is it possible to integrate to Avalara as well for text, right? Basically, I mean, Avalara, obviously, you need Avalara. Avalara provide tax rates, right, for countries like US and I believe for some other countries, right, which we don't provide out of the box. I think this is integrating with Avalara is one of the options we are considering, right? I don't think you can integrate right now out of the box, right, with Avalara, but it's obviously one of the things we are looking at. It's a good question, by the way. Thank you. Okay, please, yeah, feel free to type your question. One more question. Oh, it's the same. Any more questions? I think something is being typed, at least I can see. Okay, it doesn't look like we have any questions. Yeah, let's wait for maybe another minute or so. If you don't have questions coming from the audience, then probably we can close the call even earlier. Again, we put quite a few links, and we try to type not only links, but also we type this full URL address into the question, into the slides, right? So if you want to learn more, just feel free to go to these links and learn about the capabilities which we presented. If there are no more questions, right, and from the audience, we probably will be closing the call. Again, thank you very much for attending the call today, and thank you very much for opportunity for us to present you with what we do with what we did for globalization across the globe, but also specifically for LATAM region, and share some of our plans, future plans. So thank you very much, and have a good rest of your day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.